Hey guys, welcome back to Learn DMX Lights, where I want to teach you to rock some lights. Welcome to episode 6, guys, where we are going to talk about ShowXpress software, because the next few videos we're going to be building a light show together. How cool is that? We're not going to go super deep into everything. It will all get covered over the next few episodes. So, of course, if you ever have any questions, just put them in the comments. Let's look at it. This is the ShowXpress live board. In order to access it, we go up here and we click live, and that brings us to this. This is not actually just a board. This is 8 separate boards right here with their own names. Military stuff, if you can tell. You can have one board, you can have 2 boards, you can have up to 8 boards. It just depends on how you want to set it up. If you need tons and tons of scenes, you're going to be best to put them in separate boards. All these colorful little items here and the white ones here are called buttons, and that is how ShowXpress labels them too, as buttons. Okay, as you can see up here, that says buttons. I think you're missing the B, the way it's framed in here. But this is buttons, and there's a setting for buttons where you can adjust what you want. When you're in this segment of the board, you always want to make sure that this is on right here. You see where it says DMX? It needs to be green. If it's red, there's going to be no DMX going out to the lights. It is a virtual DMX line, on and off. Over on the right, we have a fader. You can assign up to 8 faders in this program. I'm only using 1. Your choice is to have speed faders. I've never seen any reason to really use more than 1. This is a fader that increases or decreases the speed of a chase. And the other ones, when I was using other ones, they're all assigned to fades. For example, let's say the band goes on break, you turn on a red scene, but you want to keep it a little bit dimmer. You can pull it all down here, or you can have a fader that says front of house, pull all the front lights out. Good stuff. Let's talk about triggering these buttons. You can trigger your buttons or scenes, let's just call them scenes. You can trigger your scenes through the keyboard on your laptop, or you can use an external keyboard, a mouse, or a touch screen. Some new terminology for you guys that are brand new to the rock and roll lighting scene or the church lighting scene or whatever lighting scene. Let's talk about them. When you trigger your scenes, you're going to use a variety of different types of buttons and scenes. The first one is called a latching scene right here. A latching scene is simply a button that you hit that stays activated when you let go of it. Click it with the mouse, walk away. Click it with the keyboard, walk away. The light stays on until you click the mouse or the button again. It latches on to the button and holds it on. The other one would be a non-latching scene, otherwise known as a flash button. You click on it, lights go on, off, on, off. Old time guys would call this a bump button. Here is a latching button. Example of a flash button in use. Here is a scene that fades out. Here is a scene that fades in. And here's a scene that crossfades, which means it just goes from one to another, and you could set this up in a timed manner, whatever time you want to set on it, whether it be fade in, fade out, or crossfade right there. There you go. Here is a chase scene with single lights chasing each other. Another chase scene. Here is another chase scene, and using that speed chaser fader, I have slowed it down and I can speed up and go super fast. Good stuff. Before we finish with scenes, let's not forget about the almighty strobe. Now we are going to go into the editor section right up here. Let's just call that the master control editor. That takes us into steps and various other little areas we can visit and have a good time with. Steps are where we build our light show. These are all the lights, these are all the faders, but we have to have lights before we can build steps. So we go into fixtures. Last couple of videos, we looked at blank pieces of paper, number 1 through 512, representing a single universe. That's this, except here there's a ton of lights in it. This is where you bring your lights in and you can address them. Put them where you want, whatever address you deem necessary. Obviously, these filled in tabs right here represent lights. This is a light that's in channel 13 through 26. Next light is in 27 through 34, and so on. This is the first universe, and these are all the lights that encompass, or should we say live in, the first universe. This is the second universe, all the lights that live in that universe. And here they are, and your 512 block of numbers that represent channels. Back to universe 1. When we click on a light, let's use this one over here for example. When we click on a light, we can see the personality. This is going to tell us channel 1 is dimmer, 2 red, 3 green, 4 blue, and so forth. These lights in here, I've placed them in here. As you can see, they move. Okay. And I have placed them kind of how they appear in front of me. But when I'm looking for one over here, it's still a little difficult to find it sometimes. So let's say I'm looking for this light right here. When I click on it, it'll highlight over here. And then it works in reverse like that. If I want to know where this light is, over to the right, I click on it and it will highlight the light over there. Believe me, this is a wonderful thing. Below the fixture tab, we have some subheadings, and we will touch briefly on those. This is to lock the screen. If I were you, I wouldn't click anything that locks anything. This is where we add a fixture. This is one that we're going to be working with in next week's video and the week after that when we build our light show. So I'm going to come back to this one a little bit later today. This is where we save DMX addressing once we import something, or should I say bring it in, not import it. That's different. When you import, you're bringing it in through like a thumb drive. This is to edit the fixture. We can go in and make changes to it. The next icon, we can rename the fixture. With moving heads, we can reverse the pan and we can reverse the tilt. Kind of like we did in episode 3, I think it was. But we did that at the actual lights. Here you could do it right through the board. Offset and zoom is something I don't use. I'm not going to bother trying to explain it to you. I understand it. It has something to do with the moving heads and setting up visuals that I'm not exactly 100% sure what it is. This will duplicate the fixture. Let's say we just added this fixture in. Okay, we can duplicate that fixture and we can put it in right next to it, or it will go to the next available set of DMX channels here that are not in use. Duplicate fixture is one that we're going to be working with over the next few weeks. Obviously, the trash can represents remove the fixture. This one right here is called the Light Show Creator. I don't use it. I create my own light shows. This is actually for somebody that's going to be making videos because it mixes audio, lights, and different media together. It's not anything that you're going to use if your outcome of this is wanting to work with live bands in smaller type venues. Let's click over to steps where we build the scenes. Let's see what kind of cool toys they got over there. Here we go. All right, let's bring some faders up, but before we get into that, Let's talk about this DMX button. It needs to be on. If when you push up faders and start building scenes, you want to preview them, you're going to have the DMX on. It's just like the one I showed you in the live board section. Now, if you forget to turn this off, when you go back to the live section, whatever you have on down here in these faders is going to stay on. It's going to follow you around in every scene. So make sure that you turn this off. It's a mistake that is very easily made. I've done it myself countless times. Make sure to turn that on if you want to see them, off when they can go away. Just like an editor, there's a bunch of subheadings below steps right here, and let's touch briefly on those. This is an important one. We're going to be using this. It is called New Scene. This is what you click when you want to make a new scene. This is Open Scene. This will take you to the library, and scenes that you've built in the past will pull up, and you can open them and do a variety of different things with them. We will get to all that at one point. This is where you insert a scene. Again, that will take you to the files. You will pick a scene and you can insert it right here. I call this the chase box. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, so let's get back to that. You know what? Let's touch it right now. When you build chases, you build them through here. If there's only one thing in here, it's not a chase. It's a stagnant scene that doesn't move. You have to have two of these gray areas right here, numbered 1 and 2, in order for it to be a chase. Different steps. This is a one-step scene, a non-chase. If it's got 2, it's a multi-step scene, and it is a chase. So when we hit Insert Scene, and we go to the files, and we click on one, we can take that scene, and we can put it in here, or in here, or in step 10, or we can use it in step 1, just to put it in and say rename the thing or tweak it a little bit. When we finish building a scene, we are going to hit Save Scene. At that point, we're going to be asked to name the scene. We're going to click Save, and it is going to go into the ShowXpress files. That brings me to the next one, Save Scene As. Don't save it as desktop. You'll never be able to recover it and use it in certain situations, okay? Always click this one so it takes your new scene and it puts it into the ShowXpress files as opposed to somewhere else. Maybe for this one you want to save scene as, I believe it might go to like a thumb drive and offer you the availability to click on that and send it there. These buttons are kind of like the cart before the horse right here, but what they do is they ungroup fixtures that are in a selection. We're going to get to that very soon here today, and this will ungroup channels in a fixture. We really should be discussing this down here before that, but that's the way it goes. When we build a chase, this is play. We can play it and watch it without having to actually save it. If we like it, we save it. This can also help us with a really cool little trick that I'm going to show you coming up in the next video or two. When we make scenes, we can pull them from here, which is Universe 1, or we can go to Universe 2 and we can pull them. They will not step on each other. Very simple to work with two universes. I believe we touched on that in the last episode. But if you have any questions, I know that universe stuff can get a little bit confusing. Feel free to ask a question in the comments and we'll get back to you on that. Alright guys, now the fun stuff, the faders. Everybody likes to push faders up. Over here on the left, you've got 3 tabs, all used and selected. With all, it's going to show you every fader that controls every light in this universe. Alright guys, I've taken the liberty to pull up a green scene. When we hit used, we don't see every fader in this universe. We only see the faders that are actually used in the particular scene. Not limited only to the ones that are used. It'll give you the ones in the channel of the light that's being used. This is a tri-strip light, for example. We're using 8, which is green, and we're using 13. That's the master fader. Anything that's being used. This tab over here just takes lights that you click on, and ones that you have selected will appear. For example, I clicked on that light. It's certainly not all the faders. It's only that light that it's showing you. It is not all the board faders. It is not the used faders. It is from the light that you selected. You select this light, and it goes to that. If we go to this light, all the faders for that light. This is a strip light. It uses a lot more channels. All right, this next one is important. It'll get you in all kinds of hot water. Let's say we're building a scene. I'm now in new scene, and I want to use this light right here. There are the faders for those lights. When I push up the master and the red, I get these little icons down here. Let's bring you in a little closer. These are called snaps, all right? When they are shaped like this, and they're not rigid like this, when like this, when you turn that scene on, it will fade up. This is not what you use to make fades. We'll get to that. This is not how you do it. When you click this, the light will snap on, like just snaps right on. When you make a chase and it's got a half a dozen steps in it, this can be a real problem, I assure you. But I got a trick and a real neat way around it in order to check everything real quickly just before you finish making that scene, and we're going to cover that about 3 episodes up when we get to chase scenes. Alright guys, just in case I made some kind of error with this camera framing, there's your All tab, your Use tab, and your Selected tab right to the left of the faders. When we build a scene, let's say for example we're going to use these 3 90-watt lights, not this one, and we're going to use these 3 90-watt lights. So we go into the 90 and we want to make a red scene. Push up the master fader, push up the red, we go to the next one, master fader up, red. Don't forget to click your snap buttons. That's a lot of lights to do that with. There's an easier way. And that is by making groups and grouping lights together. They have to be likewise lights or all the channels work the same in order to group them together. Here, these are grouped under, right here. It's called 90 top. I named it 90 top. You can name it whatever you want to. When I click it, watch the lights up top, they all light up. So now, when I push that fader up and that fader up, look at there. All 6 of them have 2 faders up. Isn't that great? When I click the snap here and I click the snap there, they go up in every single light. Voila. It's like magic. When you're in the steps window, the keyboard can initiate whatever you pick for your groups. And yes, it's case sensitive. So here it would be lowercase d, lowercase c, and you can assign whatever key you want to it. You can name the group whatever you want to name. It's all made for you to control. Once I click this, it unlinks the whole group. Okay, I told you I would get to channel linking right here. You have to have likewise lights in groups. For example, this light right here can't be in the group because the master fader is here, red is here, and in this light, the master fader is here and red is here. They're not going to initiate the same channels. When you go into channel linking, you can do that. You would pick one light. Let's say, for example, you've chosen that light and you're going to use the master fader. You can link this light and it will push up the master fader for both lights, even though they're in different channels. It sounds wonderful. I've never used it. Now, how do we take lights and assign them into groups? Coming up in a future episode. All right, guys, the screen looks a little different. I had to maximize it. It has to be minimized for me to fit this whole screen in properly, unfortunately. So I maximized it to show you about this thing right here they call a color wheel. If I want to get yellow, for example, I'm going to put my master fader up, I'm going to put red up, I'm going to put green up, and you can see right there I'm going to get yellow. Let's do it a different way. Let's use the color wheel. Let's get rid of those. Let's go on the color wheel. And look at those faders moving. How cool is that? Look at that. It's like a recording studio. I wanted yellow. There, I got yellow. Pretty close. Pretty close. That is how the color wheel works. We have been playing with faders here that I don't intend to use or save. So when I go back to new scene, it's going to ask me, do I want to save the project in tab steps? And the answer is a definitive no. We're back in editor now, and I told you I would come back to this add a fixture tab because this is an important one. We're going to be using it in at least all 3 of the following videos after this one when we build a light show together. So when we add a fixture, I just wanted you to know that on the left side over here is a library. This ShowXpress program has a memory of every single one of these lights. And these aren't just lights. They have dimmer packs in them. There you go, dimmer pack. They got fog machines, all kinds of stuff in here. Here you can see they've got Chauvet. Everybody knows what that is. They've got Chauvet DJ and Chauvet Pro. They've got a large number of lights in here, way more than I have. So let's go down here to Venue. Venue Pro line is I think it's a Guitar Center only brand. I'm not real sure. Let's click on it. It's in the library. We click on Tri-Strip. That shows us what the icon is going to look like. When we go over to the screen right here on the right where all the lights were, and it's going to allow us to punch in the address, and then we're going to patch it through. Now we have the light in here. That brings us to the edit button that I showed you. When we go to edit, it tells us everything about it, the personality, like we talked about earlier. And we can change that. And my point here really is that if it comes out of the library, it'll populate it into that. If it's not, and you have to create your own fixture, which we're going to be doing together, then you have to insert this information yourself. You don't actually type in dimmer, you hit the dimmer icon and populates what the related to the icon is. But those 2 boxes will be key units to what we're doing in the next several videos. This has been your introduction to ShowXpress software. And of course, I can't wait to start building light shows with you guys starting the next episode. But first, you can't forget that this show is Marshmallow approved, always has been, always will be. And she says if you like this show and you want to follow along with it and you want to get all the cool stuff, go ahead, excuse me, little lip thing there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. After doing that, please guys, always remember, I want to teach you how to rock some lights. Hasta la vista, baby.